The great Marcus Phillips once said, I'm back in this bitch. I don't think anybody wondering, but the sound is not coming from this mic. The sound is not coming from this mic. Think that it is though, because when I was watching the video, it sound kind of crisp, like it was coming from the mic, but it's not though. All right, we're gonna be moving on to the Preface by Mr. Malcolm X, Minister Muhammad's Temple of Islam, number 7. If transformation is the yardstick by which the strength of religious truth should be measured, let us examine and see what sort of change the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has brought about in his followers. During a short while, he has been teaching here in America, and thereby judge him according to the results of his teachings among us. Again, these are Malcolm X's words. Before hearing his soul-stirring message, the religion that our slave master had brainwashed us with was one in which we served many idols and stayed bewildered and upset by a conglomeration of confusing doctrines the slave master called our church the Negro Church, to let the world know that ours was a church separate, distinct and apart from his own Christian church, which he had every intention of keeping lily white. In fact, the Negro Church was just a futile attempt to imitate the white church of the slave master, even going so far as to parrot the slave master's lying doctrine that all black people were cursed by God to work for the white Christians. Our churches stayed torn apart by arguments and jealousies of petty leaders who wanted power for themselves and were therefore constantly creating new demonstrations and setting up factions of their own. That kept us confused and divided against each other. In fact, strangely enough, the unity of the Negro churches in the past never constituted a threat to the slave master, but was a constant source of disunity among us and against us. Furthermore, before receiving the light of Islam from the teachings of the messenger, Muhammad, most of us were an illiterate and ignorant people who not only despised education and intelligence, but were even suspicious and wary of those of our own kind who had it. We had no knowledge of anything other than what the slave master taught us, and took everything he said just as though it was the gospel truth, without examining it and looking into it for ourselves. Just because he, the white Christian, said it, we knew nothing of our own glorious history or religion and our own God. We even accepted all of the stereotype doctrines the slave master taught us about ourselves. No matter how degrading it was, we didn't think our Christian slave master would purposely lie. In fact, many of us thought that white Christians could do no wrong and could speak no wrong. No wonder we were divided. No wonder we were divided. No wonder we hated ourselves. We hated what we had been taught. We fought among ourselves at the slightest inconvenience. Again, the font is off. The font that the book is created in, some of the words are simply not there. It's like a old-timey, faded font. So like literally, I know I've read the book once. I know that further on, maybe around like page 20, 30, like a whole top corner of the paragraph is faded out. So sometimes I have to fill in words for myself. At the very same time, our own religious leaders were teaching us to love, be patient, understanding, forgiving, turn the other cheek. To the cruel slave master, we were kind to our enemy, but viciously impatient and cruel towards ourselves. not to come at bro, but to come at bro. And I'm doing this in part to come at bro, but in part to practice the discussion more. As I'm reading, I realized that I probably won't stop often. I got paper in front of me, I got board behind me, but this may end up just being raw reading for the most part. Not only am I doing this reading with stopping and discussion in between, but that's what the mic is for. I will be doing another rereading of this book where I've tried to read it as close and precise to all that is on a book. I'm gonna be making my own audio book for this book, and that's what the mic is for when I go back over it. But as he read in his last part, at the very same time, our own religious leaders were teaching us to love, be patient, understanding, and forgiving, or turning the other cheek to the cruel slave master. We were kind to our enemy, but viciously impatient and cruel towards ourselves. The other day, I was with my brother and we was hooping, right? And some little Indian boy, some brown boy, he broke his glasses, right? And my brother's like, "You lucky you're not black." Huh? What you mean? He's like, "Bro, if he was black, I would have socked him." What, bro? He's like, "Yeah, bro, he's just this little skinny Indian boy. Like, I ain't gonna do nothing to him. But if he was bro, like, I would have let him have it." We had a little talk about that. I wasn't too fond of that one. As Negro Christians were idolized, our Christian slave master. As Negro Christians, we idolized our Christian slave master and lived for the day when his trinity of white gods would allow us to mingle and mix up with them. We worshiped the false beauty of the slave master's leprous-looking women. Our greatest desire was to have one of them, even if it meant death. We regarded them with the utmost respect, curiosity, and kindness, bowing and tipping our hats, showing our teeth. We perfected the art of humility and politeness for their sake, but at the same time, we treated our own women as if they were mere animals with no love, respect, or protection, beating and abusing them, even in public places, selling them from man to man, letting all other races, even the slave master, mix freely with them, having no regard whatsoever for their feelings, in public or in private. No one had more Christian churches than we, yet our morals were at their lowest. Bastard babies of all shades were in abundance, often carrying the mark of slave masters' adulterous blood. We were supposed to be a part of the Christian church, yet we lived a bitter world of dejection caused by our being rejected by the white Christian church. In large numbers, we became victims of drunkenness, drug addiction, reefer smoking, in a false and futile attempt to escape the reality and horrors of the shameful condition that the slave master's Christian religion had placed us in. Loathsome disease caused by too close a contact with the weak-blooded white race ran rampant through us. Our economic plight was so pitiful, and our hope of sufficient food, clothing, and shelter was so remote that we turned to vices of the very lowest sort, to gambling and games of chance, hoping that just one lucky number would put us in reach of the necessities of life again for ourselves and our families. Yes, many of us who were even the pillars of the church were artful thieves, master liars, and often the organizers of very evils that were tearing our people apart. Fear ruled us, but no fear of God. We had fear of the slave master. We had no knowledge of the truth, and we were apparently afraid to let him see us advocating or practicing love and unity towards each other. we were not man enough to stand up and protect our own kind from lynchers, ropes, or from the slave master's act of rape. But at the same time, we would go around the world fighting others in behalf and in defense of our slave master. It is a wonder that the world laughed at us. Is it a wonder that the world laughed at us, ridiculed us, and held us to scorn? We practice love of others while hating ourselves, patience with others, and impatience with our own kind, unity with others, and disunity with our own kind. We called ourselves Negro Christians, yet we remained an ignorant, foolish people, despised and rejected by the white Christians. We were fools. All praise is due to Allah, creator of the heaven and earth. Just as surely as seasons bring about change in the earth, today time is bringing about change in our condition. An earth-shaking reformation is taken. An earth-shaking reformation is taking place among the so-called Negroes in America. Almighty God, Allah, has appeared in our midst and raised from among us a reformer in the person of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger, with a message for us. His work among us has already produced results unequaled in history. His message shows us how the Christianity offered us by slave master has failed to give us freedom, justice, and equality. How we yet are not treated as citizens in the governments of Christianity. How it has neither enlightened nor elevated us. It has nor succeeded in unity with love and brotherhood. The soul-stirring, life-giving message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is bringing us together today and uniting us into a vast brotherhood under one God, Allah, overnight. He has filled us with an unquenchable thirst for education, knowledge, and wisdom. He has given us the desire not only to know Allah now, but to be with Him in the hereafter. His message of truth has cured us of drunkenness and dope addiction and other vices that were destroying our morals. He is teaching us the importance of respecting and protecting our women and placing them on the highest pinnacle of civilization, giving them castles and treating them like queens, mothers of civilization. He is teaching us the importance of respecting and protecting our women and placing them on the highest pinnacle of civilization, giving them castles and treating them like queens, mothers of civilization, and treating them like queen mothers of civilization that they are. Sheesh. Among those of us who follow him, adultery and fornication has completely disappeared. Lying and stealing has been stamped out. No more are we filled with fear of slave master. We now have one God, one religion, one leader and teacher. This oneness gives us a unity never before attained by any other people in history. On the following pages of this book are portions of the message being taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. May Almighty Allah open your heart that you too may receive understanding and light from his words and become guided by his light forevermore. And that concludes the preface by Malcolm X. Afterwards is the table of contents. The table of contents is very long. Once I proceed to read, he does short chaptering. So I will say heading, read the heading, and then I'll say reading and read the body. So it'll be heading, which is the chapter, and then I'll say reading, which is the body and the paragraph that he speaks on afterwards.